Hello and welcome to a special edition of Marriott MBA Today. I'm your host, Cameron Rich, and joining me at Gallup's Irvine, California office is the Managing Partner for the West Region, Larry Emond. Larry, welcome to the show.
It's fantastic to be on the Cameron Rich Show today.
Well, let's start out by having you tell our viewers a little bit more about what you do here.
So I've been here at Gallup for 20 years, Cameron. I started Gallup over in Japan. I was an Asian history guy and Asian studies guy, and I got a lot of the offices started across Asia 20 years ago. I served as a chief marketing officer for many years, and then about 3 years ago I was asked to become the managing partner for both the Western United States, but also all of Asia and the Middle East.
Okay, that's great. And I noticed you didn't say anything about polls. Some people assume that Gallup's just a polling company. Turns out it's much more dynamic than that. Let's have you talk about the consulting sides, some of your main areas of focus.
Sure. So broadly speaking, Cameron, there are really two sides of Gallup. Mm-hmm. The Gallup poll type activity sits within a social and economic analysis business of ours. Yeah. And that's a real important business to us. We do a lot of work with governments and NGOs around the world on real important social and economic issues. Yeah. Work for parts of the U.S. government, European government. We do some work for various Asian governments and organizations. So that's that, and that's about 20% of our revenue. Yeah. The much larger part of Gallup, about 80%, is our management consulting business. Okay. And certainly we measure things. I mean, that is who we are. Mm-hmm. Everything we do usually has some kind of measurement or assessment in it. Yeah. But today, the majority of our revenue in that whole area is in consulting and education and coaching and all kinds of things we do around it. If you were going to very quickly simplify the type of work we do in managing consulting, there's really four things. We help companies with the way they hire people. We build hiring assessments and other parts of the hiring process to help kind of get the right person in the first place. Yeah. We do a tremendous amount of development, especially manager and leader development. We have a big business around the world in the area of employee engagement, not only how you measure that, but how you drive that and how you teach managers how to be better at that. And the fourth is customer engagement. How do you better understand and manage your customers? Yeah. Those four things were most powerful for our clients when they let us do all those things. So how do you hire, develop, and engage your people to engage customers?
Okay. And for those who are interested in doing consulting, you're a little bit different than most consulting firms. And by that I'm referring to travel, even work-life balance, client relationships. Can you talk about your particular style versus a typical consulting firm?
Well, I think one thing is, I mentioned that one of our practices is helping companies hire the right people in the first place. Yeah. We, of course, do that ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we have very sophisticated set of psychological assessments to make sure that anybody who comes to work here is the right person for the job they get hired to, that they're kind of psychologically a perfect fit. Yeah. And that they fit our culture and so forth. That alone creates a very different situation. I mean, we are among the most engaging workplaces of any organization that we work with. Mm-hmm. Our attitude here is to focus a lot more on outcomes than steps. Yeah. Everybody has a certain job they need to do. Everybody can go about doing that job in kind of their own way, and we tend to be, I know in Vault.com and other places like that, we are consistently rated as among the consulting firms as being one of the best places to work and really having the right attitude about balance and freedom and things like that. Yeah. And as we keep getting bigger and bigger, we work very hard to keep that as an aspect of our culture. Yeah.
And as we mentioned, you're in charge of the West Region, which has Asia Pacific. What are some of the complexities and challenges that you deal with by doing business internationally?
I would say I'm a long-time Asia guy. Yeah. And one of the first things that I always try to clear up with people when they ask about Asia is there really is no Asia. What I mean by that is people talk about Asia sometimes like, and companies thinking about doing more business in Asia, mm-hmm. they treat it like it's this kind of cohesive whole or something. The reality is that China has absolutely nothing in common with India. They have nothing in common with Thailand or Indonesia or Singapore. Yeah. And of course, you add in the Middle East part of Greater Asia, and totally different animal. And even there, each place is a little different. Yeah. So in terms of how we approach the region, and we have offices everywhere, we approach it on a very, very country by country basis. Mm-hmm. You have different stages of economic development. You have different industries in each place that dominate. I'd say the only thing that is cohesive for us across all of Asia is that, like everywhere else, we work with a lot of banks. Banks are about 1/3 of our revenue globally, especially retail banks. It's just an industry that we are really good at helping. And in Asia, it's even higher than that. Right. So we have, work with 3 of the 4 largest banks in Thailand. We work with 2 of the 3 largest banks in Indonesia. We work with 2 of the 3 largest banks in Singapore. We have a new client in Vietnam. But that part has some consistency. But otherwise, every place is really different.
Really different? Okay. Well, this is certainly one interview we could spend a lot more time on, but we have a tea time. So before I let you go, do you have any advice for those who are interested in Gallup, or where they should go to apply?
Yeah, certainly apply. We as you know, we've in the past few years hired a lot of Cougars.
Yeah.
We've got a number of BYU alums, and a lot of them in my world actually.
Yeah.
Here in our Irvine office in San Francisco, we have a Cougar that's over in Dubai. Mm-hmm. We've got in our other offices around the world. The one thing I just want to remind everybody, is that we have this assessment process, which only about 1 in 100, people who apply for one of our consulting roles even matches on the assessment.
Yeah.
But it's a fun process to do it. Please do it. A final closing comment on top of that is that
oh no, here we go.
Proud San Diego State Aztec, and we are going to beat the Cougars on December 20th.
It's going to be a rough night for him and all the fans. But Larry, I appreciate you being on the show, and to our viewers, as always, we'll see you next time.
Thanks.